back, everybody, to the Warlord of SBAS place, Torment, Tides of Numenera, episode 74. Last time, we began exploring the bloom a little bit, then leveled up our characters. Well, quite a bit, actually. Now we're going to continue exploring the bloom. I think
All right.
I'll go this way. Can I talk to you people? No. Slave. None of you need anything but slave. Bloom dweller. You're not gonna say anything interesting. War thug. That looks like some place I'm supposed to go. It's up here. Alright. Just want to quickly do a walk around, see what I can see. Boom and stuff. Way to go. War thug. Awaits for prey. Huh. Interesting. Something tells me if I go up there, he's gonna do something. And then there's the guy in whatever that is over there. Alright, so Bloom cultist. Right to our right.
Go.
What is this? It looks like mildly important. The metal pylon is polished. It might be a crystal. It has been thrust into the bloom flesh at the junction to two armored neural axioms. Whether the bulbous prostrations around it is an effect of the invasion, or whether it was a reason for the insertion in the first place, is impossible to judge. Like so much of the bloom, it oozes both mystery and mucus. Nasty. I think this is part of the dimensional anchor, Kelsey says, as much to herself or herself as to you. But if it is, whoever is building it didn't get very far. Examine the pylon. I bet you can tell Kelsey was right. The pylon represents the foundation of a dimensional anchor, but just the foundation. To be sure, it is in some ways the most difficult part of the construct, but it is worthless without a variety of additional properly attuned Numenera. To finish the project would be considerable undertaking, far more than you could hope to attempt. You notice that there's a deep solstice in the bloom flesh where it meets the pylon. The talc filling of the crevice makes it impossible to tell what, if anything, is inside. I studied the bloom flesh nodule and the natural sheaths around and running outward from it. More natural. Judging from auxiliary organs that protrude from the nodule, he seems to be an organic equivalent of a regional control center. Not a true brain, but something more than a mere cluster of nerves. It is unclear whether it is part of some larger mind or a near sentient organism of its own. Reach into it. It's probably nasty. You're falling deep and warm you can see talc within when you feel brush against something with a hard edge. Obviously not part of the bloom flesh, but it's also distinct from the pylon. Unfortunately, your chest has dislodged it and it gets sinking deeper in the crevice. Try to grab it. Just make her do it. Would anybody be better suited to do it? I do have a lot of points to extra spend, so whatever, just use all. So what I get? Success. You plunge in deeper and catch a hold of a metal object. With relief, you pull your arm out of a recovered cipher, but from mucusy solace. Sunspot icon. Reach in again. Overview. There's an old man rumbling on about the thought of experiment. It involves some kind of prehistoric redundant capable of telepathy, linking its mind with others of its kind. Perhaps a forebear of the Sturden. The old man posted that if enough of the rodents gathered together, the sheer power of their conjoined desire would be enough to change reality. And for what role would his scavengers wish? He asked rhetorically. One where everything, even the very dirt, is man's dietaries, huh? Okay. It seems that he intends to manipulate the bloom's dimensional nature to test his ruined Dreamtime hypothesis. Such meddling, of course, cannot be tolerated. So as he mutters on and you slip, as not about tumbling into the solstice. It seems plausible that the culture will ever overcomplicate his dimensional anchor, but now at least you can be sure that it will never interfere with your own plans in the bloom. Memory fades, you pull your hand out of the mucus. Okay. Well, that was nasty. What'd I get? What does this do? Open the channel nearest celestial body. Fires a blast that deals 28 energy damage. Jeez. Cool. Explorers. Hello, explorers. You have anything to say? Nothing of interest. The mouse is getting in. Strong. Blah, blah, blah. This dwellers. Move for a thug. Alright.
Trust and honesty are our bonds.
Excuse me. Let's talk to these random things. Alright. Explorer. Merchant. Are you gonna tell anything interesting? How about you, Phyllis? This Phyllis seems remarkably similar to the one you met in Scissors Cliffs. If it notices your presence, it gives no sign. Instead, it watches a slave market with scholars of avid disinterest. Abruptly, it got its glassy face twisted in your direction. Morosely inflected voice, it asked, "Why did the child wail?" Perhaps it was wronged? For a span, the throws stand still and silent. Then with a grasp like the opening of an old vault, it says, for a moment it seems to nod slightly as if inviting you to pose a question of your own. I've seen you before, haven't I? The hall was dark and the plasma gleamed. Together we posed questions. Seems the only answer Don stands to give. Who are you? In a strange piping voice, the voice replies, a mudlark on the bank of the river Time. Alright. Know anything about the bloom? A socket, a doorknob, a crumbling cliff. These are not your face. Each that is itself. The words already slow, screech to a stop. Its glossy face cocks slightly, and our word comes from within the roads. A mirror does not look back. The bloom cannot teach, but leaves scraps. One gathers. And more about the bloom. The flush silently contemplates the question for a time. It's simply, no. What are you trying to find? A long, low exhalation comes from the philosopher. The question. Is there something I can do to help you? The question hangs before the sun. Phyllis There's no answer, not even one of the very sounds of his contempt. Eventually, it becomes clear that nothing will come. I'm looking for someone, a fellow cast off the changing god. Philip leans to a huge bulk toward you, so that your face swells into to form its round reflection. You yourself must find. The thing voice creates with labor to certainty. So can I help you? No. Alright. Neat.
Yes.
You are a whole lot of no help there, guy. I'm a war thug. What's up? You're not gonna say anything. Alright, let's talk to the slaver. Prism Flint. The fat little man turns towards you. Excuse me. A wide smile already on his face. Indeed, his smile is unnaturally wide, reaching almost to his ears. You notice that his mouth contains 2 rows of white, well-manicured teeth. You catch me in the midst of an auction, sir, but no need to beg pardon. My clients will wait. He leans forward in conspiratorially. I find that a short delay in the proceeding gets them talking amongst themselves and sparks their competitive nature. Good for prices. His smile gets even wider if that's possible. Prism Flint is my name, and the disbursement of so-called slaves is so-called owners for the betterment of both parties is my trade. What sort of slave are you looking for? Calces leans into you. These slaves are lucky, frankly. Gethsemane of the condemned have been known to go missing. Usually when the visitants are flush with shins and require more advanced subjects than mere animals. This is particularly humane. Why would I want a slave? He blinks in surprise, but his smile doesn't falter. To feed the moths, of course, unless you're planning to let them feed on you. But I wouldn't advise that. The little man shudders dramatically to emphasize his point. Fresh to the bloom, this one. He's not a licensed buyer for sure, then. Naturally, it helps to know what that a mom wants before you go buying a slave. Not enough point of buying a slave who isn't appetized to the mall in question. Then he adds in a whisper, "You'd be surprised how many people make that mistake." Link gives you a knowing wink, as if to emphasize the silence of those people. Silliness of those people. Still, you never know. Maybe he would be interested in the boy. Rin tugs gently at your garment and glances down at her. You have to buy one. Buy all of them if you can. Flint notices the little girl in the first one. Ah, what a darling child you have there, and smart too. Are you looking forward to feeding your slave to a maw, my dear? Ma, not for the maw, she whispers, ignoring the little man. We have to set them free. I spoke to the construct near the slave pit. It says you refuse to business with it? Ah, eh? What construct? He turns to the peers towards the slave pit. His eyes narrow and the enormous mouth twists like a serpent. This is no mere construct, I assure you. It was once a creature of flesh and blood like you and me, and it will be again if it fills its quota.
I'll remember that.
This lowers his voice. I presume you saw the withered head in the middle of its chest. Well, they say that those creatures are always in the prowl for young men and women of unusual beauty. When they acquire such people, they spirit them away, slice off their heads, and replace them with their own. A ghoulish practice. But it always allows them to live as humans for a time. Flint shudders. This is not the sort of business we do here. Maybe you better explain how slavery works around here? Sure, certainly. These slaves, Flint nods to the bedraggled men and women in the pit, are convicts of the foulest sort. They were very direct, so Citrus Cliffs and their surrounding communities. In order to pay their debt to society, many choose Bloom slavery instead of prison or execution. Those individuals are given to me, and I sell them to the enterprising merchants who ply the Bloom. A magnanimous arrangement to think that the execution is the only option in some lands. Usually my clients come to me with specific requirements. Every mall has its own unique taste, you see, and won't open unless it gets precisely what it wants. So I offer an appropriate slave, and they feed the slave to the maw, and everyone is happy. Flint grins, both rows of teeth shining whitely from the inside of the enormous mouth. The slaves volunteer to be eaten? Flint blinks, apparently taken back. The desperate people, and by feeding to the Bloom is not a death sentence as well. Not always. Sometimes the Bloom only devours certain aspects of the person, and there's certainly change for the better, or it takes a small part of them, an eye, or half a stomach, or their ability to feel love. It spits them out into another world where they can start their lives anew. Flint beams at the thought of it all. Once a maw feeds on a slave, the slave is free. That's the law, mind you, unless the murners get hold of you. Flint crinkles his nose in disgust. They don't give a bird's turd about such things. So the slaves are all criminals. Of varying sorts, yes. The most vicious, the better. At least as far as my clients are concerned. Flint leans toward you again, his voice falling a theatrical whisper. Bloom has a taste for the criminal element. Dangerous, predatory sorts of people draw its attention. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Where's the maw anyway? Maws are the mouth of the Bloom, my friend. Sometimes it leads to other worlds or hidden pockets elsewhere in the Bloom. One never knows, but that's part of the fun, you see. How do you know what the maw wants? But that is the question. Sometimes you can puzzle it out on your own by watching its maw, observing the behavior of its tongue. He wrinkles his nose. Disgusting business altogether. Better ask someone who's been here for a long time. They're barking mad, most of them, but they have an uncanny sense for the Bloom's desires. Some of them claim to hear the voice of the Bloom in their minds. Hearing the voice of Bloom, ha! Flint whistles and waggles his finger at his head. That's when you know you're in trouble. Drakon told me that the malls have been closing. Yes. They are closing, disappearing, changing destinations, and behaving badly all around. He glanced over the guards, he smells faltering. The sort of thing that is better way to say in low voice, preferably far away from my voice. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be thugs, but it says lugs. Well, they might not get the idea that you're blaming her for the problem. Dragon, what does that young man have to do with this, that Chisler? And she is supposed to have some sort of influence over the giant sack of angry flesh. So who knows? Maybe it is her fault. But I'd never say say such a thing. He smiles, beautifully. Alright. There's some other questions. Indeed, ask them. Well, exactly, an auctioneer? Indeed, not sir. I'm a public servant. My work is indispensable to the fair city of Citrus Cliffs. I help those unfortunate wretches, he gestures to the slaves in the pit, pay their debt to society, as it were. So basically, you're an auctioneer. Flint bristles out, but he keeps smiling. As I said, I'm a public servant, sir. It's not for my work. The criminal elements of Citizen Cliffs would have no choice but to rot in prison or die by the axe, as in the days of our uncivilized ancestors. I guess I'd like to buy a slave. Flint's eyes light up. If his smile got any wider, it would tear itself off his face and go scampering away. Well, concerning this game, it just might. So you're a registered merchant, are you? You got all the proper documents, signed and stamped and all that, right? Places? No, but I have. I'm sure you've heard of my name. I have plenty of friends in Citizen Cliffs. Flint shakes his head firmly. Despite my worldly demeanor, I know little of what goes outside the bloom. You seem a respectable sort, I will admit, but official business requires the proper documentation. Of course he's not a licensed buyer. Telling Flint just around in search of exaggerated period of stealth that you aren't sure whether he is serious. On the other hand, he whispers, perhaps we can make a deal, beneath the purview of relevant authority, as it were. As Mama used to say, with disappointment comes with disappointment comes great opportunity. Go on. Although the slave is not attracting any buyer, he's a young fellow, fresh from the siege to Sidus, but I fear he's only a thief, not a murderer or a sadist at all. You can imagine how that's gone over with my clients. Since I cannot sell him in a legitimate manner, I'm forced to go under the proverbial table. You may have him for a mere 400 shits. No returns, no refunds, or restitution. Flint flashes disturbingly wide and toothy grin. I can imagine that the mom wouldn't even want the boy. You know how he ended up here? Flint produces a sheaf of papers from a voluminous pocket and shuffles through them, finally getting something upon his eyes. Scan the page. Let's see here. Third time arrested for thievery. Minimal resistance to arresting levy. Curious, non-violent offenders aren't usually considered a bloom slavery, but they volunteered anyway. Some of them do, you know? If they're running from something, or if they're barking mad. Little man shrugs, stuffing the paper back in his pocket. Can I see the man first? Certainly, he's just over there. Flint gestures toward one of the bedraggled slaves in the pit, a young man well built with a sprung and sober expression given his condition. What about the other slaves? Not for sale. Not any stock for sale, I'm afraid. The old man shakes his head surlily with such a regrettable expression. You would almost believe he cares. I'm willing to bend the rules, in this case, in one slave only. My own voice will feed him to the maw if I start selling off the slaves to unregistered clients. And I mean that quite literally. Don't have enough shit. Pity. Flint wipes the stubborn hands together as a washing of the whole affair. I shall be happy to resume our discussion if you manage to claw your way out of penury. Huh.
Yes.
I just need someone to sell a lot. I have a lot of random crap that I need to sell. So if there was a shopkeeper around here. Don't see any person that would be.
Go.
Maybe this person over here? Could you be a shopkeeper? That would be useful. Skatey. Alright. Skate Eye. Hello. A pale, heavy-set merchant woman stands by. Yes, merchant. Simply agitated Anine. Her eyes seem to have trouble focusing on you, and then when they do, that she drops them. Her hands never adjusting the scarf around her neck. Need help. Can't think. I must. I am Skady. You are here to trade? What can you tell me about the bloom? The bloom? For a moment she appears confused as if not. She doesn't remember where she is. No. That's too tall. What's to tell? Are you sure you had nothing to tell me about the bloom? No, I didn't think so. She paused and brow furrowing. I think so. Why are you carrying a heavy scarf? You know, her eyes meet yours, and for a moment you almost think there's a pleading quality to them. Then they blaze with fury. That's none of your business. Leave it to be, or just leave. Scarf. I forgot. I put it on to hide. Nothing. I hides nothing. Try to pull aside her scarf. Wow. Tugging at the merchant's scarf reveals jagged, still bleeding teeth marks across her neck. She yells and surprisingly leaps away from you, hastily pulling the scarf back up. How dare you put your hands on me? Get away, please. Just leave us alone. Glances at her and in her eyes wide like a child with a guilty conscience. Just leave us alone, she hisses, waving you away. Overnatural. You realize that the marks on her neck match the blunt teeth of a large herbivore like her, Anine. Yeah. So this Anine is doing something to her. But we'll discover that next time. So until next time, remember, it's the chaos, so you go mad. Bye.